So I'm going to start with a thigh stretch. So the normal stretch that we do is where we take the foot behind, we bend the knee and we tilt the pelvis. Now, if you were, I would suggest you grab something to hold on to. You don't have to, but this is more of a balance. The one where you're standing on one leg, softening your supporting knee and bringing your foot up behind you. This is a deeper stretch into your quads. So if I show you from the side here, you don't have to do this, do the other one if you prefer. And you can hold these stretches for quite a long time, but again, I would say listen to your body. Sometimes you can hold for 30 seconds, sometimes you can't. And sometimes your body just doesn't need that. So this stretch here works the front of your thigh, but if you change it very subtly by just turning your foot outwards slightly, you get a different focus on your thigh, you get a different focus on the quads that you're using. So you will find a slightly different stretch. And then if you do the same by just bringing the foot inwards a bit, the stretch will change as well. So like I say, you don't have to balance, you can hold on to something with this. And also just listen to your body again and just think, okay, that's enough now, I want to bring it out. Or I want to change it, I want to go inwards or outwards. All of these things make such a difference. So we kind of think we have to do things exactly as prescribed, but actually just slight tweaks mean a lot. So you could just turn the foot out a little bit. So I can just feel it changing with the stretch where it is in my thigh. And then turning the foot inwards. And you just gain different fibres, different parts of the quads. So it's quite a pronounced and intense stretch. And then when you're ready, coming out of it, and turns down a little bit. Now I'm going to show you a couple of a glute stretch and a piriformis stretch, and I'm going to do it on the chair rather than standing, because when you're standing these are balances. Now in the class we normally do this as either crossing the foot over or crossing the foot over the knee. You can get the deeper stretch with the knee if you're not able to balance if you sit down. So if you're able to sit down, please do. If you're not, it's okay. So you can still do that stretch either crossing the foot over the ankle or over the knee. And you can still do the same thing on the chair. So the easier one, or the less intense one I should say, is to cross the ankle, the feet over, and come forward slightly. And what you might need to do is come all the way over and down. So you're looking for the stretch into your lower back and into your bum. So this is a glute stretch. And then when you're ready, just coming up gently and enough to do the same on the other side. So again, hinging forward. So let me just show you from the side here. I'm not rounding, I'm keeping myself nice and lifted in my chest as I come over. And I come over more and towards my feet. And I come over towards there. So I'm not arching my back. It's a very different stretch if you arch your back. In fact, you're not actually getting the area you need to stretch. So just have a little think about that. Okay. Now, again, when you're ready to come up, just take your time. A deeper stretch is to cross your foot over your knee. And for this one, you may just need to just come forward very slightly. So it's the side that you've got your leg crossed over is the side that you're actually working for. Now don't put your weight too much on your knee there, put it more higher on your thigh. And again, you might be able to come further over. Everybody is different, but do not force this. So when you get to that point where it's like, ooh, just stop there, okay? Don't force it beyond that. And we'll do the same on the other side. Just thinking again about that lift, so your lower back is lifted, your chest is up, and you're hinging forward, and it's the side that the leg is crossed over. So if you've got your left foot over your knee, it's your left hip that you're stretching here. And then again, we'll just gently switch that down. You can get an even more intense stretch depending on who you are and whether you want to, so do not attempt this if that was way too harsh. By just bringing the foot further up the knee there, up the thigh, and hinging forward. So again, this is a variation. Actually, that's less intense for me. So it's one to try if you would like to. But if you're finding that your knees don't like this for any reason, please don't force any of these. So we're going to do the piriformis stretch next. So again, it's a cross leg position here. So if you're thinking actually that I don't want to do the cross legs, it's fine. Don't feel that you have to. So bring your hands through your legs. You can either lift your thigh or you can kind of lift a bit more from your shin as well. We want to twist the torso on the diagonal. So wherever your knee is, just kind of go over more to that. Make sure you're lifted as well. And then just think about pulling that leg up and in towards you. So there's a variant of this that you can do on the floor as well. But I always think not everyone's got the space to do this kind of thing on the floor. So this is a piriformis stretch, and it's not one we tend to do in class at all. But we have an awful lot of muscles in our hips. And the reason why we're working on this intensely today is because we're going to look at Mayas. And the Maya can have a lot of effects of twisting. So this is why we're stretching. Because if you have an issue with twisting, this could help. So we're lifting, we're twisting ourselves on the diagonal here, we're lifting into the leg here. So this is the piriformis stretch. Good stuff. And then releasing as and when you're ready there. Okay, if we just think about crossing our ankles again, lifting the chest and just turning to the side. So we're just gently bringing the hand onto the side of the thigh here and just gently pulling back. There's a subtle stretch, it might be quite intense for some of you, down the outer part of the thigh with this. And then we can uncross and we can do the same on the other thigh side. Good stuff. And then release. So when you are ready, we're just going to come back up to standing. So you might just want to sit for a moment. Just check in with your body and just kind of note anything that's happened there. Or you might like to stand and do that. So when you're ready to do that, please do. Okay, we're going to take a few deep breaths here. So you might like to do the variant, or we take the feet apart here. We take a deep breath in, we breathe in and we come up. And then we breathe out and come down. And we breathe in and we come up. Good stuff. And up and down. Lovely. So when you're ready, have a little ease through everything. And we're going to have a little think about our waist now. So we're using our obliques. We're going to pull up, we're going to think about tilting away basically. So we're going to tilt away from our hip. Making that tilt away, feeling that stretch into the oblique and the contraction on the other side. And then we're going to do the same on the other side now. So again, we're just thinking of just dance posture if you like, soft knees, tail down, and we're just thinking of this gentle stretch so we feel the stretch into that oblique. Good stuff. And we looked at doing a belly dancer's crunch last week. So the idea of the belly dancer's crunch is you take your foot off the floor, you pull everything up into your waist, like so. And then we're going to put the foot down, we're going to bend into the knee, and then we tilt away from the hip. So we're extending and contracting the oblique as much as we possibly can. So we're working this side here. And then we're thinking straightening, we're pulling up, we're contracting, pulling all the way up and in on this side. So then placing the foot back to the floor, bending the knee, and we're stretching. Tilting away, and then again coming up. And then one more stretch, place the foot down, bend the knee, and tilt away. Good stuff. We're going to do the same now, but on the other side. So we're pulling up through the waist, so pulling up and in as much as we can. We're then going to place the foot to the floor, we're going to bend into the knee, and we're going to tilt ourselves away from that hip, so we stretch as completely as we can into the oblique. Then we're going to think about pulling up, taking the foot off the floor, contracting as much as possible, placing the foot down, bending into the knee, and tilting away. And then again, contracting in, lifting up, and then placing the foot and away there. Good stuff. Have a little bit of ease out. I just need to check the time. Oh gosh, it goes quickly. Okay, so we're going to think now about lifting our foot off the floor, have the ball of your foot connected to the floor though. So have the heel lifted and pull that hip up and in, then let it release. So as you do this, you'll feel this contraction to the waist, in and up, release and down, in and up, release and down. And you'll feel that your knee bends and straightens as well. Up and in and down, up and in and down. Good stuff. On the other side when you're ready. So we're thinking squeezing as much as you can through the oblique. So try not to use the knee to push you up and down. Think of this as being the oblique that is lifting you. So this is one of the prime muscles that we use in the Maya, or the over figure 8. So if this isn't strong, this is not going to help, and it's going to make you twist a bit more. So if you're a little bit tighter in your hips here, and this muscle is a bit lax, that's going to cause twisting. So squeezing up and releasing. Lovely. Okay, let's do our slide from side to side. Thinking of the hips coming across, keeping our top nice and still. Very nice. So your Maya is a combination of these movements basically. Now we're going to go back to that lifting. Now it's up to you whether you raise your heel or not. If you feel discomfort in your lower back when trying this, you need to lift your heel. If you don't, then okay, try this one. So we need to bend the knees a little bit more, and we're squeezing the hip up using the waist. So it is not about the knee, it's about that waist again. Squeezing up through the waist, and then releasing. Squeezing and releasing. Good stuff. So you could be using your glute as well. Try to think more from your oblique if you can, because we want to try and think of this movement as being more oblique driven. And we'll do the same on the other side, squeezing, releasing, squeezing and releasing. So thinking, trying to lift from the waist. If you're not sure, put your hand on the waist. Try and squeeze as much as you can to get that hip lifted. So we're working on the Maya. This is the over figure 8, and this can suffer from muscular imbalances. So if you do have muscular imbalances, so you've got very tight hips, if your piriformis is tight, there's a whole load of other muscles in there as well. And those stretches that we did, they kind of have a knock-on effect and work on those too. So either keeping the heel on the floor, pulling up into the waist there, or thinking about lifting the heel and pulling up into the waist. So whichever works best for you. So when you're ready, we'll do that lift and we'll push away. And then we're going to think of that knee bend and then pull it in. So we're going to think of this as a box first of all. So we have you pulling up, but try not to use your knee, try to use the waist. Slide your hip away, bend the knee, and then pull that in. So we're thinking up, out, down, and in. When you're ready to knock the corner off, make that the circle. So just focusing just on this vertical circle here. Have a little think, pop your hands on your hips. Try to think of this as being a vertical movement. As I say, it's quite common for these to start to twist and things. So do look at that idea of lifting the heel. It might be that you don't twist so much with your heel lifted, or it might be that you don't twist so much with your heel down. So it's just listening to your body, not forcing it, just doing these things gently. Sorry, there's a cat outside making some strange noises. So coming up and over. Okay, and then when you're ready, we'll do the other side. So thinking of the box, we're thinking pulling up, we're pushing away, we're bending that knee, and then we're pulling that in. So we're thinking up, out, down, and in. So adjust it if you need to, have a little go with the heel lifted. So the heel stays lifted, but you can actually bring the heel down if you want to. you can keep the heel lifted through the whole thing. That's an alternative one. It's quite different, but it might help if you are having twisting issues. Or you can think about allowing that heel to come down, or keeping the knees bent more, work the corners off, make it more of a circle. So the muscles all the way around here, they're all working in lots of different ways. They're stabilizing, they're leading the movement, they're helping all sorts of different things happening. So if you do have issues in any of those muscles, it's going to lead to things not feeling right, possible things hurting, and possible twists and things. So it's a case of being gentle with yourself. Okay, so we're going to try the full on over figure 8 on Maya now. I'm going to start with my heels lifting. If you'd rather start with your heels down, just remember to bend the knees a little bit more. So I want to think really about lifting through the waist, letting that hip come out to the side. So it's a slide of the hip outwards, but it's also being done on the diagonal. So your hip is coming out and down, and then you're thinking about letting your heel drop towards the floor, let that hip come down, so you'll feel a stretch in the outer part of that hip. So if we just then contract again, pull in and release, and just think about those 3 sides first of all, rather than anything else. So we have that lift, so we use our waist to do that, we use our waist to lift us up, we push across here, so we're using the obliques again, but we're also using a little bit from the back. We're then allowing ourselves to drop the heel down and feel that stretch in the outer part of the hip, and then we just want to pull the hip in and back to the center. So we'll do the same now, but on the other side. We're going to pull up, so using the waist to lift that hip, then pressing away here, so you should feel a kind of pull across, and then letting that hip come down, feeling that stretch in the outer part of the hip, and then coming in. So we're thinking, repeating that, pushing that out, keeping that slow first of all, really feeling all of those moves. Truly think about those deep internal muscles helping and assisting with all of this. So we're just thinking, coming up, side, out, in, up, slide out, side, and in, up, side, slide, in, up, side, slide, in. So you might just want to just stop, ease out. We'll do some backward figure 8s. They're good to just ease into those hips a little bit there. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the heels down. If you're not able to do that, just do what we just did. Okay, so we're thinking a slight more bend to the knee, but rather than using the knee itself, think about that waist lifting you up and pulling you in from here. So really pull from there. Now, if you do tend to twist, just check in that you're not using your psoas, which is more around the front here. It's that dimple there. You see it on really ripped guys like Brad Pitt. And you tend to pull from there. Try and make sure you're not pulling from there. It's the side of the waist instead. So think of that straightening rather than that little dimple that you get in the side. So we're thinking across, bend, and in, straighten, side, bend, in. So again, trying to think about using the internal muscles, squeezing the waist, the obliques to lift you, pressing away, thinking of that Maya, connecting all of that. Now it might help you that as you're coming in, you think of the inner thigh on the other leg. So if that's a kind of a difficult spot for you, really think pull in through the inner thigh, opposite leg there. If that just means nothing, don't do it. As I say, we're all different. So it's kind of as you're coming to here, that's what you think of the inner thigh on that side to bring that hip in. Inner thigh on this side to bring that hip in. So this inner thigh, now this one. Good stuff. So your 8 is here, on its back like an infinity sign, but we want to think of the internal muscles doing this. We can tend to kind of like just make it more like this. So this is more using your bones rather than your muscles to do that. So it's more skeletal rather than muscular. So we are being very muscular today. So if it is too intense and you want to do the bigger movement, using the bones more, please feel free to do so. So have a little ease, have a little shake out.